American coast.
That's true.
Now, revenge. In the feverish final days of campaign 2006, President Bush rallies the red states in what some say is a sign of weakness. Meanwhile, Democrats bring out their biggest stars for a last push to win control of Congress come Tuesday. And one of the most powerful evangelicals in the country tells his followers he is a deceiver and a liar. After a sex and drug scandal brings down Pastor Ted Haggard, can the megachurch he founded survive?
From ABC News, this is World News. Reporting tonight from Washington, Dan Harris.
And good evening. We are now down to the final hours before historic congressional elections. Elections in which the war in Iraq looms large. And it is in Iraq where we start tonight because Saddam Hussein, who brutally dominated that country for decades, was today convicted and sentenced to die for mass murder. ABC's Terry McCarthy was in the courtroom in Baghdad.
The fall from power is complete. The courtroom today was briefly silenced when the judge read out Saddam Hussein's death sentence. It was almost as if people couldn't believe that the former dictator, responsible for the deaths of so many others during his rule, was now reaching the end of his journey. Life is for us and death is for our enemies, he said from the dock. Iraqis finally know otherwise. Shiites who suffered under Saddam celebrated with dancing and gunfire. Prime Minister Maliki, himself a Shiite, said the verdict represented the end of a black era.
The judgment that was delivered here today in the courtroom behind me was momentous, not just for the Iraqis, but also for the entire Middle East. Never before have they seen in this region one of their leaders brought to justice in his own country and forced to account for his deeds while he was in power.
There were some problems with the trial. 3 lawyers were killed and the principal judge was replaced. But the entire process was shown to the public, a landmark in itself in Iraq.
Saddam Hussein was given something that he didn't give to scores and scores of people who were tried in his secret courts.
It will be some time before any sentence is carried out. The death sentence goes to an automatic appeal that could take some months. And still, some fear that executing Saddam could turn him into a martyr. Sunni supporters marched in his hometown of Tikrit today, vowing to avenge the verdict with their blood. Saddam Hussein ruled Iraq for 35 years by terror and brute force. Today, he was humbled. But he leaves behind a legacy of violence that nobody knows how to control. Terry McCarthy, ABC News, Baghdad.
And today, President Bush called the outcome of the trial a milestone for the Iraqi people. He said the verdict and the death sentence provide a measure of justice many thought would never come.
Iraq has a lot of work ahead as it builds its society that delivers equal justice and protects all its citizens. Yet history will record today's judgment as an important achievement on the path to a free and just and unified society.
President Bush was speaking there in Texas before taking off on a campaign swing. He has a lot at stake in the elections on Tuesday. If Democrats win control of one or both houses of Congress, it may jeopardize the president's ability to control American policy on the ground in Iraq and to push through his domestic agenda. ABC's Jeff Morella is traveling tonight with the president.
With time running out, today President Bush headlined a raucous Republican rally in Grand Island, Nebraska. Although more than 7,000 supporters showed up, Democrats say campaign stops like this one are a sign of GOP weakness. After all, just 2 years ago, Mr. Bush won 75% of the vote here. Now he is desperately trying to keep this reddest of districts from turning blue, something it hasn't been in nearly half a century.
And here's the way I see it. If the Democrats are so good about being the party of the opposition, let's just keep them in the opposition.
It is pretty much the same story wherever the president goes on this final campaign swing. Each stop is in a state he carried in 2004.
You don't want to take the president
this year to places where the candidate needs a lot of Democratic and independent votes. Let's face it.
But the president is still supported by 86% of Republicans. And in a close race, as most of these are, a visit by Mr. Bush could be decisive.
In districts and states where turning out the Republican vote guarantees you a win, the president is a tremendous help in getting that done.
This strategy may be working. A new ABC News poll shows 51% of likely voters favor Democrats. 45% support Republicans. But that spread is shrinking, down 8 points in 2 weeks.
We don't look at this with rose-colored glasses. We look at every single race. The president's been out and he's active in a lot of close campaigns. Look, we think we're going to hold the House and Senate.
White House officials acknowledge they will lose seats Tuesday, but believe they can escape with a slim majority. One senior White House advisor told me they think 2006 is going to look a lot like 2000. After that election, the Senate was split 50-50, and Republicans held a 7-seat edge in the House. But, Dan, even that will require everything breaking the GOP's way.
Nervous times. Jeff, thank you. Jeff Morrell reporting from Nebraska tonight. As Republicans toggle between optimism and gloom, the Democrats are smelling opportunity, and they are bringing out their big guns in these final hours. One key battleground is New Jersey, where there is a very close and rather nasty Senate race going on right now. ABC's Nancy Cordes is there tonight.
Democrats were upbeat in this final week of campaigning.
Make it better tomorrow. Thank you. God bless.
Some top Democratic strategists now predict that come Tuesday, the party could pick up double the 15 seats it needs to win control of the House of Representatives.
You ready to win an election here in Rhode Island?
They're holding out hope of claiming the Senate, too.
If people really want change, we can do both.
Thanks to relentless fundraising, Democrats now find themselves in the unusual position of having resources that rival Republicans in the final stretch of many key races. In Pennsylvania, where 5 House seats are in play, Democratic heavy hitters Al Gore, Barack Obama, and Nancy Pelosi made 8 campaign stops between them Saturday.
This Congress gives the phrase rubber stamp a bad name.
The Democratic strategy: hammer away at President Bush and the war on Iraq, but offer few specifics.
Stay the course isn't working.
The Democrats are more forthcoming about their domestic agenda. Minority Leader Pelosi, who could become Speaker if the House changes hands, is vowing to push for votes on increasing the minimum wage, ending tax giveaways to big oil, and expanding federal funding of embryonic stem cell research, all within her first 100 hours. To take control of the Senate, the Democrats would have to win nearly every race that's in play, a feat that's looking more and more difficult in recent days. That's why former President Bill Clinton is here in New Jersey tonight, loaning his star power to Senator Bob Menendez, who, Dan, is in one of those tight races.
Nancy Cordes in New Jersey. Thank you, Nance. All of this, of course, is just a prelude to the main event, which is coming up on Tuesday. For more now on the key races and key numbers to watch, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Charles Gibson, who will be anchoring our election night coverage from ABC News headquarters in New York.
Thanks, Dan. I am on the set that I hope people will see a lot of on Tuesday night, along with our chief Washington correspondent, George Stephanopoulos. This is our election set. 2 numbers we'll be focusing on election night that I hope everyone has in mind by now. The Democrats need to pick up 6 seats from the Republicans, 6 switches to get a 51-49 majority, and in the House, they need to pick up 15 seats from the Republicans in order to get to the magic number of 218. Now, it is interesting that there are 33 Senate seats up on Tuesday night, but we'll really be focused on 11. The other 20 not very competitive. We'll focus on the 11. 8 that could go from Republicans to the Democrats, 3 that could go Democratic to Republican. And in the House, while there are 435 seats, we'll be focused on just 58 that are highly competitive, 54 of which could go Republican to Democrat, and only 4 democratically defended seats are in jeopardy. And that, George, I think as much as anything, illustrates how many problems the Republicans have.
That is the story of the night. The Republican Party is on defense. On one level, that always happens to presidents in the 6th year of their term. But this time around, it is intensified by the war. The war in Iraq, the #1 issue. It's held down the president. It's held down Republicans. That's why they have so many seats in play.
Now, everyone wonders how quickly will we know. And I'm fascinated by the illustration when you look at the states across the East and Midwest, to go from Connecticut to New York to Pennsylvania to Ohio and Indiana. In those 5 states, which will close relatively early, there are 21 seats at play, and every one of them are seats in the House that the Republicans are having to defend.
And Republicans have nicknamed them the blowout belt and the killing fields. If Democrats take control, it's going to happen in those states. Here's a rule of thumb as we go through the night. If Democrats pick up 1 seat in each state, they're likely not to get control of the Congress. If they pick up 2 seats in each state, they're likely to get control, but it's going to be close. If they pick up 3 seats in each state, it is going to be a blowout.
All right, George, we'll be watching closely. We'll be here together all night on Tuesday night, along with a cast of many others. Dan, back to you.
Charlie, thank you, and thank you, George. And remember the key numbers going into Tuesday, 15 and 6. And coming up here on the broadcast, what one pastor is calling a spiritual 911 for the evangelical community. A searing confession today from the Reverend Ted Haggard. Referendum on Roe. What's at stake this Tuesday for the man they call Bush's brain? And politics and marketing, how the political pros are now monitoring what you buy in order to influence how you vote.
This is World News, brought to you by the Dow Chemical Company.
For each of us, there's a moment of discovery. We see that all of life is elemental. And as we marvel at element bonding with element, we soon realize that when you add the human element to the equation, the chemistry changes. We find a way of seeing that gives us a way of touching issues, ambitions, lives. The human element. Nothing is more fundamental, nothing more elemental.
You could say food's my life. I watch my diet. Still, my cholesterol's a little higher than my doctor and I want it to be. We talked about statins, which are a good option. For me, he chose a medicine that helps lower cholesterol differently. Zetia.
Most cholesterol medicines work mainly with the liver. Zetia works in the digestive tract, as do some other medicines, but Zetia is unique in the way it helps block the absorption of cholesterol that comes from food.
And Zetia, along with the healthy diet, lowered bad cholesterol by as much as 30 points. That's 18%. It complements what I've been doing lately, like eating healthy and exercising.
Zetia may not be right for people who have ever had liver problems, are nursing or pregnant, or may become pregnant. Your doctor will decide if Zetia is right for you. Unexplained muscle pain or weakness could be a sign of a rare but serious side effect and should be reported to a doctor right away. Common side effects included tiredness and stomach pain.
So eat healthy and ask your doctor if Zetia is right for you. Now you can tell everybody that a waitress gave you a tip.
Zetia. It's a different way to help fight cholesterol.
I'm Montel Williams. The Partnership for Prescription Assistance is traveling to all 50 states, making stops to help people pay for their medicine.
I was in a lot of pain. I wasn't able to afford my medications, and PPA gave me back my life.
This past year, America's pharmaceutical companies gave away more than $5 billion worth of medicines to people in need.
It has been a lifesaver for me in more ways than one.
If you need help, just call 1-888-4PPA now. The Partnership for Prescription Assistance, on the road to helping you.
You've waited, you've dreamed, and now it's finally back. Endless Shrimp at Red Lobster. The only time of year to enjoy all the irresistible shrimp you can eat. Don't miss Endless Shrimp right now, only at Red Lobster.
I'm Tracy Durfee, and this is my story. The arthritis in my hand affects everything I do. Picking up a pen, shifting the car, just living your life would sometimes just hurt. I depend on Aleve. I can get through my everyday without being in pain. I take the Aleve and I keep going.
In Colorado Springs this morning, thousands of members of the New Life Church attended their first Sunday services since news broke of a sex and drug scandal involving their popular and politically powerful pastor, Ted Haggard. After days of denials, Haggard is now admitting to having a, quote, repulsive and dark side. This is a huge shock for his congregation and for America's Christian conservatives generally. ABC's Bill Redeker is in Colorado Springs tonight.
Children here.
It was standing room only this morning as nearly all of Pastor Haggard's 14,000 parishioners came to worship and to hear his confession, read by one of the 4 governing pastors who dismissed him.
The fact is, I am guilty of sexual immorality, and I take responsibility for the entire problem. I am a deceiver and a liar.
But there was no mention of the allegations that Haggard used drugs and paid a man for sex. Instead, a plea for mercy from the members of the church he founded.
As you try, please forgive me. I am so embarrassed and ashamed. I caused this and I have no excuse.
Many said they were ready to forgive, if not quite forget.
I really appreciate Pastor Ted's apology, and I sincerely forgive him.
Some people are just going to see the hypocrisy of it all.
Haggard was one of the evangelical movement's most powerful leaders and helped Colorado Springs earn the label Evangelical Vatican. Focus on the Family is headquartered here. There are more than 400 evangelical churches and organizations. And now there is concern that the scandal will have a tsunami effect, creating even more doubt and cynicism in the larger evangelical community. Kelly Williams is pastor of Vanguard Church.
To me, this is a spiritual 911 for the evangelical community. I mean, it has that kind of effect. I think a scandal like this has enormous implications. I think the implications are even greater than the pedophilia scandals in the Roman Catholic Church.
Those who are now in charge of Haggard's church are praying they will overcome.
People who attend this church and evangelicals in America are not swayed and they're not flummoxed by the sin and the immorality of a person.
And yet another person, another senior pastor, will be appointed by the end of the year. Bill Redeker, ABC News, Colorado Springs.
A major figure brought low tonight. And coming up here on the broadcast, he may be the most famous political strategist ever, Karl Rove, the man the president calls Boy Wonder. He's trying to pull off one last surprise victory for his boss.
Just when you think the moment is right, it may have to wait a while. Relax. You have up to 36 hours with Cialis. Cialis is the only erectile dysfunction tablet clinically proven to work up to 36 hours. 36 hours can be the difference between being interrupted and being ready, when finally the moment is right. Tell your doctor about your medical conditions and all medications, and ask if you're healthy enough for sexual activity. Don't take Cialis if you take nitrates for chest pain, as this may cause an unsafe drop in blood pressure. Don't drink alcohol in excess with Cialis. Side effects may include headache, upset stomach, delayed backache, or muscle ache. To avoid long-term injury, seek immediate medical help if you experience priapism, an erection lasting more than 4 hours. If you have any sudden decrease in vision, stop taking Cialis and call your doctor right away. So relax. Time is on your side. 36-hour Cialis. When the moment is right, will you be ready?
My baby left for college, and I got a pain reliever for my back. Took classes, too. Got something for arthritis pain. Different pains, different pain relievers. But now Advil is my every pain reliever. Works wherever I hurt. I'm all Advil.
Single white female, enjoy shopping, long walks, and cuddling. You marry me.
Investing with someone you've never met doesn't make much sense either. That's why Edward Jones opens local offices, so you can invest with someone you know.
In the human body, the heart pumps blood through thousands of miles of arteries every minute.
Inventor of the Jarvik artificial heart, Dr. Robert Jarvik.
But high cholesterol can clog arteries and lead to heart disease or a stroke. Adding Lipitor is proven to lower bad cholesterol an impressive 39 to 60% when diet and exercise are not enough. And today, clinical evidence proves that Lipitor can reduce both your risk of heart attack and your risk of stroke if you have several common risk factors for heart disease. All important reasons to ask your doctor about Lipitor. Lipitor is not for everyone, including people with liver problems and women who are nursing, pregnant, or may become pregnant. You need simple blood tests to check for liver problems. Tell your doctor if you're taking other medications or if you have any muscle pain or weakness. They may be a sign of a rare but serious side effect. Lipitor is one of many treatment options to consider with your doctor. Could you be doing more with Lipitor? Ask your doctor.
It all comes down to this. Tuesday, the country votes, and Tuesday night, America turns to Charles Gibson, George Stephanopoulos, and the ABC News Vote 2016. Simply the best in the business. Accurate, fair, trusted. ABC News Election Night.
If the legacy of President Bush is on the line in this Tuesday's elections, so too may be the legacy of the man sometimes called Bush's brain. Karl Rove, the president's chief political strategist, is trying to win one last and possibly most difficult national election for his old friend.
Thank you.
Karl Rove is both revered and reviled.
There we go. Carl is now co-president of the United States.
There are documentaries, books, websites, even condoms dedicated to him. He was featured on the TV show South Park.
Well, we can't give them tax-exempt status either, Carl.
And named the most fascinating person of 2004 by ABC's Barbara Walters.
What do you think your reputation is?
Evil Rasputin. I mean,
really?
Right. But let's look. Washington works that way.
Did you ever foresee that he would become arguably the most famous political consultant in history?
I thought he would 5 minutes after I met him.
Really?
Yeah. He is a walking mainframe computer and the most talented consultant I've ever worked with.
Rove helped pull off surprise victories in 2000, 2002, and 2004 for George W. Bush, who calls him Boy Wonder, and
the architect, Karl Rove.
He's won 3 national elections working with Bush. This is a big one, though. It's going to determine whether George Bush's last 2 years in office can be productive.
He comes out of this with minimal losses, his reputation will be cemented in history. If he comes out of here with some big losses, then you might have Republicans 10 years from now spitting on the legacy of Karl Rove.
Thanks for all you did. Rove pioneered a controversial political strategy. Instead of targeting swing voters, rev up the base and attack the other side.
Republicans have a post-9/11 view of the world, and Democrats have a pre-9/11 view of the world.
In the Rove political approach, you don't reach out. You just try to motivate your base.
Karl Rove and his colleagues believe that the country's basically divided. What he wants to do is turn out his tribe.
Tuesday's elections are perhaps the toughest test of that strategy.
I think that a strategy, a Rovian strategy, which demonizes the 48 or 49% of people who are on the other side, that is ultimately very bad for the democratic process.
Rove politics good for the country?
People are going to look back and say that George Bush and Karl Rove maybe divided the country, but they enacted conservative policies that worked. Or they're going to look back and say this was 8 years of a divisive presidency that divided the country, took it in the wrong direction. History is going to make that judgment.
Rove refused to grant an interview for this story, but according to our sources, he's been telling nervous Republicans that the party's sophisticated get-out-the-vote operation will save the party from terrible losses on Tuesday. And now from a dominant figure in politics to a dominant figure in sports. In New York City today, cyclist Lance Armstrong finished his first marathon. He accomplished his goal of finishing in under 3 hours. He called it the hardest physical challenge he's ever faced, harder than the Tour de France. Latvia's Jelena Prokopčiča successfully defended the title for the women, while Brazil's Marilso Gomes dos Santos won for the men. And still ahead, what does the car you drive and the beer you drink say about the way you might vote?
Why wait? Why wait? Osteoporosis. Easy to ignore, but it could be there, even if you don't look, feel, or act your age. Fortunately, you can do something about it. Bone loss can be reversed. Fosamax is a hormone-free tablet for postmenopausal women at risk for or with osteoporosis. In 10 years of clinical research, Fosamax has been proven to help reverse bone loss. And Fosamax helps prevent fractures of both the hip and spine. You should not use Fosamax if you have certain disorders of the esophagus, are not able to stand or sit upright for 30 minutes, have severe kidney disease, or low blood calcium. Before use, talk to your doctor if you have stomach or digestive problems. Stop taking Fosamax and call your doctor right away if you develop new or worsening heartburn, difficult or painful swallowing, or chest pain, because these may be signs of serious upper digestive problems.
I'm not putting it off a minute longer.
Talk to your doctor about Fosamax, because bone loss can be reversed.
Wherever good can overcome, that is where your contributions to the Salvation Army go.
If you love racing, get a scratch-off card at Denny's. We're giving away 5 VIP race packages, plus a grand prize right along with a big-name driver.
Whoa.
There are millions of Coca-Cola beverage and Denny's food prizes, too. So race in the win at Denny's.
I got up this morning, my knees were bad again. So I took Bayer, and that was that.
Genuine Bayer aspirin. Painkiller. Lifesaver.
I expect to keep playing.
Bayer, expect wonders. For each of us, there's a moment of discovery. We understand that all of life is elemental. And as we marvel at element bonding with element, we soon realize that when you add the human element to the equation, everything changes. Suddenly, all of chemistry illuminates humanity, and all of humanity illuminates chemistry. The human element. Nothing is more fundamental, nothing more elemental.
It's election week, and America turns to Good Morning America's Unmatched Vote 2016 for all the breaking reports, exclusives, and inside political buzz you can't find anyplace else. Vote 2006, Good Morning America, tomorrow.
And finally from us tonight, political profiling and persuasion. One unwavering principle of our election system is that your vote is secret. But it turns out that before you cast your ballot, a lot of people have a pretty good idea of how you are likely to vote. ABC's senior political correspondent, Jake Tapper, is in Columbus, Ohio.
To find out how Trina Handler, a mother of four in Columbus, Ohio, is going to vote Tuesday, we asked her, Coors or Budweiser?
Coors.
Saab or Audi?
Audi.
Why do questions like these matter?
More Republicans drive Audi and more Democrats drive Saab.
Matthew Dowd is President Bush's pollster and co-author of a key book on what's called micro-targeting. Every time you use your credit card or surf the internet, you leave a data trail of your preferences.
Corporate America has been using this information for years to categorize you and sell you products. Now political groups are using it combined with census data and polling to sell you politicians.
So based on how Trina Handler lives her life, the car she drives, the water she drinks, how do micro-targeting experts assess her? She chose Democratic Sprite over Republican Dr. Pepper, but went for U.S. News and World Report over TV Guide, favored by Democrats who tend to watch more television.
Trina is someone who came into this election not sure who she was going to vote for, who could go to either party.
Yeah, that's probably correct, although I tend to slant more Republican.
Just as key to micro-targeting, how to reach Trina.
The best thing that you can do is to have a personal contact from somebody that has a general similar viewpoint as them.
In micro-targeting lingo, those people are called navigators. The 1 person out of 10 in a community who tell the other 9 where to eat, what movies to see, and how to vote. Last week, Trina told us this.
I'm going to vote a lot more Democrat than I have in a long time.
But since then, she's spoken to a number of navigators, and now she says she may split her vote.
A couple of them I'm going to go Republican for sure. And there's a couple that I normally would have voted Republican, but I'm going to go Democrat.
So, effectively micro-targeted, Trina Handler's vote is once again up for grabs. Jake Tapper, ABC News, Columbus, Ohio.
Who knew there was a connection between Dr. Pepper and party affiliation? We will be covering soda sales and all the other important political angles from now through election night here on ABC News. Tomorrow on GMA, a behind-the-scenes look at the Get Out the Vote campaign both sides are waging on the ground. Live reports from the battleground races on World News with Charles Gibson. And you can go to abcnews.com for the latest political news anytime. And for your chance to join the debate, you can submit questions and get the answers on election night on ABC News Now, which is our live 24-hour broadband network. America's best political team, available anytime, anywhere. And that is World News for this Sunday. I'm Dan Harris in Washington. For all of us at ABC News, thank you for watching, and good night.
It's a state-by-state journey, and tonight,
We're in South Dakota.
a girl fighting to recover.
Their house could make Sierra sick again.